Rendering in Nuke, like rendering in Maya, takes place at the end of our production pipeline. I've read in all my files, merged them together, color corrected using my masks, and put on my effects such as depth of field, glow, and glint to really make this image pop out. Now I'm going to put on a write node, which dictates what sequence I'm writing out, where to, and how big it should be. I'll pick my glint node and press W for write. Nuke makes a write node, and in the write node properties, I can specify the channels I'm writing, the file, the proxy, and the render order. I'll click on the File folder. In here, I'll browse out of the Nuke directory and into my exercise files. In the exercise files, I browsed into the Finished Images directory. If you're rendering out a sequence, you may be putting out images to a directory and then bringing them into a nonlinear editor such as Adobe Premiere or Apple's Final Cut Pro. We may render out a still image and use it for a print, for example, or post it online. Wherever we're rendering to out of Nuke, we need to set up our images in our write nodes. I'll click Save, and then here in the File section of the Write dialog, right after the / after images, I'll put in the file name. I'm going to call this one int sky.tiff. You can render out any different format you'd like, working out to a TIFF or Targa sequence, for example, to go into a nonlinear editor. We could also render out, let's say, a Cineon if we're going back to film or something similar. Once I've got that name in, and I hit Tab or Enter, Nuke recognizes the extension and shows it as a TIFF in the file type. And in here we can choose a data type. Remember, you need to put the extension on, or else you'll get files, and most other applications, such as Premiere, will go, "What is that? I don't recognize it." And so we need to say that it is a certain kind of file. If you're writing out a sequence, you need to put in # for your frame padding. So for example, if I was going to render out 100 frames of this, I'd put in #, so I get image 1 through 100. Because I'm just rendering out a still, I'm going to leave those off. We've also got color space options available, and I'm going to write this out in my 709 as I've been working in. We can do a final check in here, dropping down under the color space emulation in the viewer and choosing the right color space. There's my 709 to make sure it looks all right, and I'm ready to hit render. What I'll do is click render, and here in the input, make sure it's on the frame range I'm using. If you're rendering out a sequence, put in 1 to 100, for example. I'll click OK, and that'll render out my image. Here's my final rendered image. It's got all the post effects on, my ambient occlusion helping ground all the detail in the corner, and then finally my lighting and color correction. So I get the green tile and the deep gray floor, the bronze on the window frames, and that deep wood and black frame of the bridge overhead. It's got a subtle glow and a richness to the light, showing off that smooth bounce light of my sky portals, evenly lighting the space and adding a softness and warmth to the image. A little post adds a lot of polish. So make sure you render out images that give you compositing flexibility, and bring your images into Nuke. Do your post-processing and assembly, and write out images that have the final artistic look you're after, ones that really sell the design.